What, innit? Or you know when everyone's got their own business ventures. That's probably what it comes down to. What's it? Let me just put it. Here's what better. It's, you know. No, I mean, that's the whole point. He needed collabs, yeah, because he can't do a full track on his own. All right, this is the I.S.U.P.K Wednesday law class. Also, remember, check out Commanding General Yohanna's radio show, which is Monday, 2 a.m. UK time. Check out that, the grill. And there's also what classes Tuesday through Friday. So Tuesday in the States, you'll have what? The Brotherhood class. Wednesday, the law class. Thursday, the scripture breakdown class. Friday, the Lashon Kodash, which is the Hebrew tongue. And Saturday, the Sabbath service. You can go on any of those classes by going on YouTube, I.S.U.P.K online classes, and then it should come up saying live. Also, if you're on Facebook, every city kind of goes live at the same time. Every city goes live at the same time in the States. So you vote for choice. You can watch a New York class. You can watch a Minneapolis class, a California class. So you can watch whichever one is up. So you can always watch classes. Classes is always available. But what you want to do is the city that you're in, you want to attend the actual building. You want to attend the actual building and see what a class is like in person. Also, there's classes here. Monday, history class. Wednesday, the law class. Thursday, the scripture breakdown class. Attend those. 394 Lodge Road. Feel free, man. Come to those, man. Call the school. Find out where we are, where camp's at in the week, where we at around the weekend, where we at, what we're doing. Come and find out, man, and so forth. Give me 1 second. And also, so today, and what else was I going to say? Also, start saving for Passover, because that's coming up ASAP, man. That's April 9th. That's going to come around fast. What happened last year is we set a deadline, and obviously we didn't make the deadline. When we did get the deadline, everyone was saying they got no money. And we set a deadline, which means obviously you save your money, so you can afford it when it comes around. So everybody needs to contact the school and let us know what's going on for Passover. Let us know if you need us to hold your money. If you can't store your own money, we'll hold it for you. And then when the time comes to book it, we'll book the flight. But the thing is, we want it booked by December. When it booked by December times January. If we have it booked by then, it'll be a lot cheaper than how much we ended up paying last year. How much did we end up paying last year? Was it about 600? Yeah, we ended up paying about 600 and something last year, because what happened was running on Blackman timing, left it late, and then the longer you leave it, the price goes up. And then who does it affect in the end? It affects us, because the price goes up, and then you're paying for something £600, whereas organized white people that book theirs in advance are paying what, £400? They're saving £200, £220, and they've still got better seats than you, man. They're still getting all the better seats than you. So yeah, this year we want to book that December, January. And today we're going to go into loyalty is actions and not a word. Because people will sell you dreams, man. People will tell you all of this and all of that. How much they love you, how much they will die for you, how much they'll do this. They'll tell you that they will die for you, but you broke and you need to borrow a tenner for your electric and they won't give you, man. They'd rather take that tenner and buy alcohol. Alcohol means more to them than your lights on, man. People tell you they're loyal and they love you and they're down for you. A man will tell you, oh, listen, man, you're my brother, but behind your back he's trying to have sex with your wife, man. That don't sound like loyalty to me, man. You saying you be saying, oh, he's my bro, man, he's my bro. But is he really your bro? Nah, man, not by what he does. He tells you your bro, but his actions shows you otherwise. I mean, your woman tells you she loves you and she's loyal to you, but she's texting next men on Facebook, man. Them men ain't DMing your woman. Your woman's DMing them next men first on Facebook, man. So you need to know the difference between if someone's truly loyal or if someone's just lying to you. Let me pull the first scripture, 1 John chapter 3 and verse 18. Yeah. And if you got any questions, just type them in and we'll get to them. Any questions, any comments, anything like that.
1 John 3 and 18. But grow in grace and in knowledge of your...
You sure the straight one?
1 John
3 and 18.
chapter 3.
Yeah. What's the one? Love and word, not indeed. No, love indeed, not in word. So it's meant to be 1 John 3 and... Give me a second. Give me 1 second.
No, you're right.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking that, yeah.
1 John 3:18. My little children, let us not love in word.
Let us what?
Not love in word.
Oh, I'm loyal. Let us what?
Let us not love in word.
I'm down for you, man. I'm your brother. Go ahead.
Let us not love in word.
I'll do anything for you, man.
Let us not love in word.
Come on, you know I love you, man. You know I got your back.
Let us not love in word.
You know I'll die for you if I have to.
Let us not love in word.
Listen, man. That's what loving in word is. You saying all these things. It says, let us not love in word. Go ahead.
Neither in tongue.
Neither in tongue. Go ahead.
But in deed.
But in what?
In deed.
Deed is an action, man. You need to love your brothers and so forth in deed. Not in tongue, not in words. Now, if you love your brother, you ain't going to be trying to have sex with his wife behind his back, man. You know what true loyalty is? Loyalty is this, like, yo, you need to check your rib, man. She's all over the internet in this inbox. You don't be listening to her problem. You don't be listening to her problems trying to go around there, man. Like what most people do. And that's why most people fall out. You look at most men's beef is what? Over a woman. Most men's beef and issues is over a woman, man. Because this man was his friend. And guess what? After a few years of him looking after a baby that was his, he finds that friend wasn't as loyal as he told him, man. We can't be like how white people are. You watch the Jeremy Carr show where with white people, this white man sleeps with his blood brother's baby mother, and they're fighting over the kid, and he's saying it's his kid, that one's saying it's his kid. And listen, man, that ain't loyalty, man. Obviously, we need to learn what true loyalty is. Loyalty is what? Actions. Loyalty ain't no word. But in living in the UK, you just say whatever comes to mind, and it's a word and so forth. Read it again.
God, my little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and truth.
But in deed and truth, man. That's true loyalty. Loving in deed and in truth, man. And not in word. Because people can tell you things all day long. You see the saying, actions speak louder than words. That's true, man. Actions do speak louder than words. So if somebody's telling you they love you, but the actions ain't of love, clearly they don't love you, man. Clearly they don't love you. The saying, actions speaks louder than words. It's true, man. Actions do speak louder than words. If you're telling me one thing, but you show me another, obviously I can't believe you, man. You need to show me the actions. I'd rather know you by your actions than the words you tell me. Telling me you're loyal, but really you're not. Telling me you're loyal, but really it's in your mind that you want to rob me and steal from me.
Right.
You telling me you love me, but you want to steal from me and you want to rob everything I've got, and you're hating on me on the low, and you're jealous, and you're this and you're that, and you don't want to see nobody doing good. But to my face, you're telling me you love me. Listen, man. You meant to love in deed, man, and not in word. And what happens with all these celebrities, these rappers? These rappers make it. Guess what happens? All their friends fall out with them, man. You know why? Because they're jealous of their spot. They want the limelight, man. They want the shine. And the truth is, they don't love their friends, man. There was a UK rapper the other day. Got them set up by his friends. They set him up. They robbed his jewelry. All this time, he thought there was loyal, man. He thought there was his friends. So he was around them. So he fell asleep around them. Obviously, if you with your friends, you're thinking, yeah, I'm gonna take a quick nap. He took a quick nap, just started punching him and kicking him, man. Started punching him, kicking him, took his jewelry, man. Now tell me how that's loyalty. Listen, to set someone up, it ain't just, it don't happen at the moment. You have to plan it, man. It's premeditated, which means all the time you're telling him, yo, we cool, come here, come there. You're being evil, man, trying to set him up and so forth. We can't be having that mind state which these other nations have and people in the world have. We can't be having that in here, man. But drop that, give me Mark chapter 7 and verse 6. And any questions, just type them in. We'll get
Mark 7 and 6. He answered and said unto them, well have Elias prophesied of you hypocrites.
Elias is what? Elijah, but it says Elias because that's in Greek. Go ahead.
As it is written.
It says, as it is written, man. Elijah prophesied about you hypocrites, man. I mean, Elijah foretold about how you black people are, man. Go ahead.
This people honoreth me with their lips.
This what?
This people honoreth me with their lips.
And this is what people like to do, man. Honor with their lips. Meaning what? You speak a good game. You speak all this loyalty. You speak all this, you talk all this deep talk. You talk all this convincing stuff. Like, especially what they do in church. Oh, we love Jesus, 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 Jesus. All day long, man. In church, you'll hear that, man. How much they love Jesus. They make songs talking about how much they love Jesus. What's that famous gospel song? Take Me to the King. Listen, man, they make some gospel songs. Take me to the King. His joy I like to bring. Something, something, something. All these songs, man. Kirk Franklin, all these songs. They talk a good game, man. The honor with their lips. Go ahead.
But their heart is far from me.
What?
But their heart is far from me.
So even people honor Christ with their lips, but their actions shows how disloyal they are, man. The things that they do shows how disloyal they are. If they was loyal, they would what? Do everything you told them to do. Same like if your woman's loyal to you, she's gonna do what you tell her, man. She's gonna do what? Not open her legs to another man. But if she's disloyal and she's a woman that you've met in the club on a Saturday night, that you've met in what stories, 101, damn, especially in Sugar Sweet. If you marry in Sugar Sweet, your relationship ain't gonna last, man. You marry in Sugar Sweet, listen, man, she's gonna be disloyal and open her legs to every other man that buys her a drink that night, man. Go ahead.
Howbeit in vain do they worship me?
In vain, man, do they worship me? Listen, people claim they love Christ, man. Claim they love him. Christians will make out. Listen, Christians will tell you that we need to know Jesus. They will tell you that us right here, that we don't know Jesus and we need to know him. And we're so evil. And God ain't came into our hearts. Is that they say God ain't come into our hearts? Yeah, they say God ain't coming to our hearts. Jesus ain't coming to our hearts. That's what they'll tell us. Meanwhile, we the ones that don't eat pork. We the ones that ain't sleeping with next men's wives. We the ones that ain't robbing people. We the ones that ain't murdering. We the ones that ain't homosexuals. And these Christians is telling us God ain't coming to our lives and we don't love God and we this and that. Meanwhile, they're telling you they love God, but they're eating pork, crab, shrimp, lobster, eating any abominable thing they can find, man. Doing every abominable thing they can do. Christmas, Easter. What are they getting ready to do now? What's the next one? Is it Christmas they're counting down to now? Are they counting down to it? Yeah, they're counting down to it, talking about it's what, 3-4 months away. So all the time before Christmas, what happens? Each day your manager on the slavery becomes a little nicer towards Christmas because he's happy and can't wait to get his bonus and buy all these toys and whatnot. They're doing the countdown to Christmas. That's what they're doing right now, but they claim they love God and Christ and they're celebrating Christmas. Meanwhile, we don't celebrate Christmas, meaning in vain they worship him, man. They're loyal with their lips. The stuff that they say, it sounds good. Like if you're not in the truth, you'd really think these Christians love God by how they talk. By how they talk, it would be convincing, man, that they love God. But when you see their actions and you know the truth, it's clear that they don't love God. Because to love God is an action, man. To love God is what? To see pork and say, I'm not going to eat pork because it's against God. To love God is to see the tattoo shop and say, I'm not going to get a tattoo because it's against God, man. That's what it is to love God. To do as he says, not just Not just say you love God while you're getting a tattoo. Not praying while you get a tattoo. People think to love God is what? Get a tattoo with praying hands. Is that what they get?
God, the purple bees and
Yeah. They get the tattoo with the prayer hands and the rosary beads and God's name tattooed on there. People think that's to love God. People think to love God is to get a only God can judge me tattoo. Listen, let me tell you something. There's a brother I know, man. There's a brother I know, man. He's in one of these fake Israel. He was in one of these fake Israelite groups. He got a tattoo, man. He got a tattoo. He thought he got Yahushua's name tattooed, man. He put the wrong name, man. He got the wrong name tattooed with the praying hands, man. With the praying hands and the rosemary beads and everything. Listen, man. If it was in the truth, first of all, you wouldn't be getting no tattoos, and then you wouldn't have made that mistake. So now what? You just got a random name tattooed all on you now, man. Read that for me from the top.
Well have Elias prophesied of you hypocrites, as it is written, this people honoreth me with their lips.
These people honor me with their lips, with lip service. They tell me all day long how much they love me. It sounds good, yeah, man. It sounds good. It sounds good. Go ahead.
And you honoreth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me.
But your heart, man, your mind is far from him, man. You don't care about what he says. You ain't listening to what he says. You ain't listening to what you're supposed to do. But drop that. Give me Psalms 12 and 1. People honor you with their lips, man. Even people around you do the same. They honor you with their lips, but then they do nothing to help you, man. They hate on you, man. They want to see you doing bad. They don't want to see you doing better than them. And that's a common thing. Most people don't want to see you doing better than them, man. Like they can't be happy for you if you're doing better than them. That's something that we've learned along the way here. That you can't be happy for them if they're doing better than you. Listen, man. Everybody's timing is different, man. I mean, one man might graduate this year, and next man might graduate the next year. You ain't gotta hate. Just understand that obviously where you are in life is where you are in life, man. Don't hate on somebody else's accomplishments. I don't understand why people do that, man. There's no need to be a hater. Listen, you look at your life as what? Oh, my life's a shambles. I ain't got a job, and this guy's got a good job. You ain't got to hate on him because he's got a good job. You congratulate him, man. So you got a good job there, man. You're doing good for yourself, man. Uplift him, man. You ain't got to hate on him and plot to bring him back down into the dumps and whatnot. There's no need for it, man. Go ahead.
How long wilt thou forget me, O Lord?
Is that the Psalms 12 and 1?
Help me, so I can help, Lord, for the godly man ceaseth, for the faithful fail.
For the what?
For the faithful fail.
It says God for man. The God for man ceaseth, man. Meaning what? There's hardly any godly men nowadays, man. The godly man ceaseth, meaning what? There's hardly any left. Go ahead.
For the faithful fail from among the children of men.
For the faithful what?
Fail from among the children of men.
And there's hardly any. And not faith here. That word can also translate into loyal men. There's hardly any loyal men left, man. There's hardly any faithful, loyal men, God-fearing men left. I don't even like to say God-fearing. It sounds Christian, innit? So lucky. Christians say it too much. God-fearing. When they don't fear God at all, man. Because they just break all his laws and commandments. But go ahead.
God. They speak vanity, everyone with his neighbor.
Do what?
They speak vanity, everyone with his neighbor.
They speak vanity, everyone with his neighbor, man. You're not speaking vanities. You're just speaking something that you don't really mean, man. You speaking something that you don't really mean. You speaking something that you ain't gonna do. That's speaking vanity with your neighbor, man. You telling your neighbor all these kind of things, how loyal you are, how faithful you are, how this you are, but really you ain't none of that, man. You ain't none of that. Go ahead.
The Lord shall cut off all flattering lips, and the tongue that speaketh proud things. Who have said with our tongue, will we prevail?
Go ahead.
Our lips are our own. Who is Lord over us?
Read that from the top, 12 and 1. It's lucky the first part was what I wanted.
Help, Lord, for the godly man ceaseth.
For the godly man ceaseth, man. Ceaseth means what? To stop. And there's hardly any godly men nowadays, man. Where do you find them? Only in the I.S.U.P.K, man. You won't find them nowhere else. Go ahead.
The faithful fail from among the children of men.
And most people ain't loyal nowadays, man. Where can you find loyalty in the earth? You can't find loyalty in church.
God.
You know why? Because that pastor, he wants your wife, man. He wants all your money, and he wants he wants your wife. He wants what? Everything you've got, man. Everybody else in church, everybody else in church just watches everybody. You've seen them, these women bickering in church and saying, "Look at her, look at such and such, blah 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 blah." There's no faithful, no loyalty, no nothing in them places. In them places, they all hate each other. There's no loyalty in these fake Israelite groups. If there was loyalty in IUIC, Joy wouldn't be dead right now, man.
Right.
She wouldn't be dead right now without a body. Nobody knows where her body is. Listen, I watched the documentary the other day. Do you see it? Exactly. That it hurt my heart to watch the documentary when she was. Listen, the sad thing is she genuinely thought she was in the truth. Did you see how much she thought she was in the truth? She goes, "I found a new family. The IUIC is my new family, and I don't know what I would do without them." And go ahead. Exactly. She'll be alive without them. She stood up there, man. Praised them. Said, "This is a new family." She said, this is a whatnot. She said, "The IUIC is my new family." How much she loves them. How in there she's found fathers. And guess what happened? Some man came and murdered her, man. Some man came and murdered her. Some African Hamite man came and murdered her, man. A man that's not supposed to be there in the first place. That's step number one. A man that ain't supposed to be in there in the first place. What did he do? Murdered her. Took her phone, and what did he left the group chat? He removed her from the group chat, man. What else did he do? Said she stayed with him in where was his house? In Cricklewood.
No, he dropped home, but keys in his car.
Yeah, he dropped her home, but her keys was in his car, man. And also, he was attending her flat from time to time, right? He was attending her. Yeah, to make it look less suspicious. He was in where? Cricklewood. That's where he took her, man. What did they say? They spent 2 nights together.
The first dropped her home, then actually in my yard. And Shane, her poor brother, looking for her every day. Man.
Was he looking for her?
The brother's looking for still right now.
See, and her brother that ain't even so-called in the truth. Her brother that don't know these scriptures or nothing is looking for her, and the men in her organization that claim they're in the truth, what are they doing? Nothing about it, man. They're all gone radio silent. They're all gone super quiet. They ain't saying nothing. Listen, if they didn't have Africans in there in the first place, Joy Morgan would be alive right now. If they didn't have Africans in there, should be alive, man. But guess what? Shalom, look. But what happens? IUIC ain't in the truth, so what happens? They have Africans in there that murder our sisters, man.
That's right.
That murder our sisters. And then when IUIC are meant to explain themselves, they don't explain themselves, man. They just sweep it under the rug. And this is why we need to know what true loyalty is, man. IUIC does not have loyalty, man. GOCC does not have loyalty. GMS does not have loyalty, man. And this is why in all these groups, there's all these scandals every minute. There's all these scandals every single minute in them. No word of a lie. No word of a lie, man. Just look it up, man. IUIC doing what? Going to going to brothels with to see homosexual men. Going to see men in there. Listen, that don't sound like they're loyal to Christ to me. If you was loyal to Christ, you wouldn't be homosexual, man. First of all, IUIC saying what? IUIC having Africans in there straight away shows what? They're not loyal to Christ, man. GMS teaching that you can rape anything on the face of the earth, man, shows they're not loyal to Christ.
Right.
GOCC having white women in there, man. GOCC having the KKK and everybody else in there, man, shows that they ain't loyal to Christ, man. Go ahead, sir.
They had one white guy in the back. He looked like James Bond, like Spider-Man.
And this is the thing, man. There's no loyalty in these places. That's what they got in there, man. Go ahead.
Which verse was yours?
I was drop that. Give me Proverbs chapter 20 and verse 6. And this is why I have to keep stressing, man, that true law is an action.
That's right.
Because what people will tell you, it sounds good, man. It sounds good. I mean, the people that you meet on the internet that try to scam you out of your money, they sound loyal. They sound loyal as hell, man. Saying, yeah, man, I got this much. Listen, there was a man who was saying he's got this much gold, and all you need to do is pay for the shipping cost and trust him and believe in him. People will send him money and don't hear from him again, man. And guess why they sent him money? Because what he was saying, it sounded good. It sounded nice, sweet, convincing. Like in church, it sounds nice, sweet, convincing. It makes you feel at ease. You know what sounds so beautiful in church? You know what sounds beautiful? Come to church and God will open what is it? He will open the windows of heaven.
Open the windows of heaven.
Yeah, come to church and give all your money and God will open the windows of heaven. Listen, man, that sounds good, man. But is it true? They tell you all this stuff, man. Go ahead.
Proverbs 20 and 6. Most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness.
Read that one more time.
Most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness.
Meaning what? Most men, every man will proclaim his own goodness. What's that goodness is going to tell you? Trust me, man. Believe me. I'm this. I'm loyal. You know you can leave your money with me. You know you can trust me with that money you got there. You know you can trust me with your car keys. Don't worry. You know when you're in jail, I'll look after you, woman. You can trust me. You proclaim his goodness, man. He will say, I'll never do that, man. You're my brother. I love you. I'm loyal. I'm this. I'm that. That's him proclaiming his own goodness, man. Go ahead.
But a faithful man who can find.
But what?
But a faithful man who can find.
So it says a man can proclaim his own goodness, but a faithful man who can find, meaning what? A man whose actions match his words, man. A man who does actions and don't just speak. Who can find a faithful man? Now, another word for faithful is what? Loyal. Who can find a loyal man? Who can listen? Read that one more time from the top, if I could.
Proverbs 20 and 6. Most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness.
A man will proclaim his own goodness, how he loves you, how you his brother, how he's loyal, how you should ride for him. Guess what will happen? You believe in these men that proclaim their own goodness. Once you go to jail, that's when you realize, man. You will go to jail. Guess what he will write? He'll write free such and such. You know when black people do it, free my nigga such and such. Listen, man. Instead of saying free me, why don't you send me some money for canteen, man? Why don't you send me some money so I can eat? So I don't have to be eating the nonsense jail food, man. Why don't you send them money for clothes, man? Why don't you send them money to survive? Yeah, but you're proclaiming your own goodness. Free my nigga, free my nigga. How is free my nigga putting clothes on his back, man? How is free my nigga taking care of his kids, man? How is free my nigga taking care of his wife and his children that can barely survive? That he's in jail and is probably in jail because of you, man. You probably got like how it works out in the UK is what? This man here goes and gets beat up by someone. Someone else in he phones one of his older cousins or his friend. They come with a gun, shoot someone, and then that one goes to jail. And the one that got beat up does what? Continues his life and just forgets the one who helped him out, man.
That's right.
On the left-hand side, in the world, him doing that would have been low-key on the left-hand side. But guess what? Guess how you pay him just by saying, "Oh, free my bro," but you don't want to put money on his books. If you was low, what would you do? Put money on his books, man. Make sure he's all right. Understanding that life's hard for him behind in them jail cells. All you're doing is what? Just partying and saying, "Free my nigga, I wish you was home." Listen, man. People proclaim their goodness, how much they're gonna ride for you. Listen, your woman proclaims her goodness for you every night, man. She tells you how much she loves you, how she's going to the club with her friends, but she's not dancing with no one. But lo and behold, you see a video of her twerking on somebody else, man. A faithful who can find, man. It's rare nowadays, man. Someone faithful and someone loyal is rare nowadays. Read that for me one more time.
Proverbs 20:6. Most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness.
Everyone will proclaim everyone his own goodness. And Salaka, to go back to this IUIC thing, man, he proclaimed his goodness to the news. What did he say? He was like a father to her.
That's right.
He goes, I was like a father to her. I looked at her like a daughter. I used to drop her home. I used to do this. But guess what? Wherever he's dropped her now, nobody knows, man. Nobody knows. She's somewhere where no one knows, man. Her mom was on the news talking about. Did you watch the program the other day? Yeah. Her mom was on the program saying she misses her daughter and how a part of her died, and all she wants to know is where the body is. Everybody knows that he's killed her, so why don't he just give the family some closure, man? Let them bury her, tell them where the body is. But this Hamite refuses to, man. He refuses to tell them where the body is. And this is why the Lord's always said, we ain't supposed to have no heathens amongst us, man. We ain't supposed to have them in our congregation. We ain't supposed to have them in our schools. They ain't supposed to be with us, man. You know why? Because that's the kind of things that they do. That's the kind of things that they do, man. All these outlandish crimes, all these murders and whatnot. And first of all, it weren't even like he was. Is it Hamite nonetheless? But it weren't even like he was a Nigerian which was born in England. Have you heard his accent? He was like a full-on Nigerian that just came here 2-3 weeks ago. And these is the people that people is trying to say, oh, we must let into our schools. No, man. They come up to us at camp and we tell them, you can never come in here, man. We tell them, you can't never come in here. And you know why they can't come in here? Because if they did try to come in here, guess what would happen? There'd be another Joy Morgan, man. And that's why they ain't ever coming in here. That's why the Lord don't want them around us. All these scandals taking place in the IUIC is happening, so what? So you can leave the IUIC? These things is taking place. You're meant to see them and leave the IUIC, man. You need to get out of IUIC before you become the next Joy or whatnot. People just seem to think, what? That only happened to her, it won't happen to me. All you other single women in IUIC, understand this. It could be you next if you don't leave, man. It could be you next if you don't leave. Could be someone else claiming, oh, you was like a daughter to them, but they kill you and hide your body. But drop that. Give me Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 1. Also, if you got any questions, just type them in. Questions, comments, you name it. Just type them in and we'll get to them. Let me know when you go.
All right. Proverbs 3:1.
The live feed stopped.
I'll give it a check.
No slip.
Proverbs 3:1. My son, forget not my law.
It says, my son, forget not my law. Meaning, know the law of this Bible. You see, if you know this Bible, you would be able to discern what true law is. You would be able to discern what a true friend is, man. If you knew this, you would know that everything is actions and whatnot. You'd be able to discern between the two, between someone that's genuine and between someone that ain't genuine, between someone that cares about you and between someone that don't care about you. But we grew up in a society where words mean everything, where we trust too easy, where we believe everything someone tells us. You need to start making people prove themselves to you, man. See if someone's actions is matching up with the words they're telling you. Because people can tell you how much they love you all day, how loyal they are all day, how down they are all day, how true they are all day, how they're gonna do this for you, how they're gonna do that for you. And then in life, what I've realized is once you're dead, that's when people seem to care about you, man. You mean to tell me when you're alive, no one will help you out when you're alive, but as soon as you're dead, people cry and put you on a nice gold chain and buy flowers and talk about how much they loved you. But when you was alive, no one cared, man. When you was alive, no one cared that you existed. No one cares that you're down the road and you got no food and you're poor and you need a place to stay and you need a meal to eat. No one cares, man. But as soon as you're dead, this is what they'll say. Oh, I would do anything for him. I wish I could bring you back. When the truth is, they don't wish they could bring you back, man. Give them 6 months. They forgot you existed, man. They just want to come to your funeral and have soup, man. At these black funerals, what do they do? Just come and have soup.
Yes,
They come and have their soup, and then that's it, man. They don't care that you're not here no more. They care for like a day because it's so sad, and then that's about it. That's about it. Read on.
yes, no, just a comment.
Go ahead. Read it. What's the comment?
Just about about how any woman in the school just should not get in the car with anyone, basically saying what we're saying.
Exactly, man. That's true, man. You don't want to be getting in anyone's cars, man, because some of these cars now, all it takes is for them to what? Put child lock on the other door, right?
Yeah.
Put child lock on the other door, and then in cars you can lock the windows, all the windows from one side, which means you're in that car, and then guess what? You can't get out of that car, and then obviously that man, if he's a murderer and whatnot, you ain't gonna be able. There's no way out, man. So it's true. You don't want to be getting in any and everybody's car. Someone you don't know, someone in the IUIC. Listen, if I was stranded and IUIC offered me a lift, I'd walk, man. Don't take no lift from them, man. Go ahead.
Proverbs 3:1. My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments.
Keep my commandments. That's what it keeps saying. Keep the commandments. Keeping God's commandments shows what? Your loyalty to God. Straight away. Now, if someone can't be loyal to God, I don't know. I don't know how you're trusting them to be loyal to you, man. Like people in the listen, you got family in the world. Listen. I got a brother. I got a brother in the world. One time, after pressure, I had a money tin. I'm skimping and scraping, putting pounds in this money tin, and then guess what? One day he stole the money tin. One day he stole the money tin, man. Listen, the amount of pounds I put in there, but obviously I had to leave it. I had to be like, you know what? Captain Mashak gave me some good counsel. He said, you know what? He's in the world, and obviously you should know better than leaving money around someone that's in the world like that. Because obviously people in the world ain't got no loyalty to you, and they're loyal to the addictions that they have, which is true. Obviously, a man that smokes cigarettes, he's loyal to them cigarettes, so he knows he goes through a 20-pack a day. He's going to do whatever it takes for him to get that money for that 20-pack, man. He's an alcoholic. He's going to do whatever to get that alcohol. He likes to take drugs. He's going to do whatever to get them drugs, even if it means crossing you. Listen, you're just there. You're just in the middle of them and whatever they want. So most people see you as, you know what, this person's got this. They either rob you or they use cunning ways to get money out of you, man. They lie to you. There's people on the internet that lie and say they got cancer for what? Donations. They lie and say they got cancer so you can send them money on the GoFundMe. Do you know how much of them GoFundMes that you probably funded is a lie? All them GoFundMes that you funded to is a lie, man. You thinking, oh, you're helping out. Especially in Christianity, they believe, I've done my good deed for the day. That's what they believe. They believe, yeah, I've given money to this charity. All these charities that you're seeing is a lie, man. These white people in town telling you, oh, sponsor this, your money goes to this place. Honestly, the money don't really go there, man. So you mean to tell me all the charity money that people's been giving from before I've been born and before you've been born, that country's they're still poor. They're still as poor as there was 100 years ago.
Right.
Listen, man. Somebody's lying to you. Somebody's lying to you about something, man. Go ahead.
And if you can add,
Mm.
it was Oxfam like years ago. People sending billions to them, and all the shows one like well that
See.
made it. So all that years of money
Is
and
one
one well in the middle of nowhere. Like,
See, all that money and one well in the middle of nowhere. That don't make no sense, man. Where's the money really going? Somebody's lying to you, man. Somebody's lying to you, and they're taking advantage of your good nature. They're taking advantage of your good nature, man. Everybody's lying to you and trying to steal from you, and people that you would think are loyal to you ain't really loyal to you. And also, you can't expect. One thing I've noticed about the truth is, outside of the truth, you can't expect people in the world to be 100% loyal to you, man. Because obviously they've got their own agenda. They ain't got a moral compass like you do. They ain't keeping the law like you do. Like you keep laws which says don't steal, so you ain't gonna rob from that man. You keep laws that says don't murder, so you ain't gonna kill that man. You keep laws that say don't defraud, so you ain't gonna defraud that man. But people out there in the world, they don't keep them laws. So if they ever go broke, they're coming to steal from you, man. If they ever go broke, they're coming to defraud from you. They ever go broke, they're coming to take whatever they can from you, man. Whereas in the truth, you know you can't steal, so you're not gonna rob a brother. In the truth, you don't have to worry about what a brother robbing you, brother murdering you, a brother having sex with your woman. You know why? Because there's laws in place that he follows, and if he's in the truth, he's loyal to God, and him being loyal to God means what? He has to be loyal to you. That's what that means, man. His loyalty to God shows that he has to have loyalty to you. But someone who's not loyal to God, like in the Christian church, who ain't loyal to God, how can you expect them to be loyal to you? Go ahead. Read on.
Keep my commandments for length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee.
And it says, keep God's commandments for length of days shall it add on to you, man. And on the flip side, man, you know how keeping God's commandments can add length to your life? Because if you don't keep them and you go and rob the wrong person, what happens, man? He might come back and blow your brains out, man. Because you robbed him. Now, if you kept the law and didn't rob nobody, nobody would be coming to kill you, man. If you kept God, listen, the law, how does it add length of days? Because if you have sex with the next man's wife, the Bible says what? That's the rage. Jealousy is the rage of a man.
That's right.
Jealousy is the rage of a man. And that man is going to want to kill you, man. How can you add length of days by not having sex with the next man's wife, man? Because then there'd be no reason for him to want to come and kill you, man. How does keeping God's laws add to length of days? You don't take drugs. Guess what? You're not going to die of a drug overdose, man. How does keeping God's laws add to length of days? You don't eat pork. You're not going to have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, all of these things, man. Length of days, man. It's not rocket science, man. That is how you can add length of days, man. By keeping God's laws. Because when you don't keep God's laws, guess what happens? There's some type of punishment, man. When you break God's laws, there's some kind of punishment. Now, your whole life, if you've been a stick-up kid, you've been robbing people and getting away with it. You've been robbing people and getting away with it. But one day, you're not going to get away with it, man. One day, someone is going to come for you. So just don't be a criminal. Keep God's laws. Go ahead.
Let not mercy and truth forsake thee.
Let what?
Let not mercy and truth forsake thee.
It says, let not mercy and truth forsake thee, man. And that's what we taught in here. To be merciful and be in this truth, man. Because the Most High had mercy on us. So we ain't going to go take a man's life and so forth. But obviously, if someone did come and attack us, we're allowed to defend ourselves. We don't have to. People think turn the other cheek means what? You get punched on the left side and you turn and get punched on the right side. Nah, man, that's not what turn the other cheek's talking about. If a man's assaulting you, you defend yourself, man. Don't stand there and let him beat you up. Don't stand there and let him beat you up. Defend yourself, man. Turn the other cheek. Ain't talking about that. That's something we've been taught by white people, so they can beat us up and we do nothing about it, man. That's something you've been taught by your slave master. Beat them up, and so you let them beat you up and so forth. Give me a go ahead.
For safety, bind them about thy neck.
Bind them about thy neck, man. Meaning keep it, man. What does bind mean? Bind means to tie these things. Yeah, you keep it close to you. Go ahead.
Write them upon the tables of thine heart.
Meaning what? Have these laws in your mind. Everywhere you go, these laws should be in your mind. Every tattoo shop you see, you should be like, it's against God to get tattoos. I'm not going in there. You should be like, it's against God to eat pork. I'm not going to order the ham sandwich.
That's right.
You should, every time you go into McDonald's, every time you go into McDonald's, you should be like, I'm going to get an egg muffin. Obviously, I can't eat a sausage and egg muffin. I can't eat a bacon and egg muffin. So I'm going to have an egg muffin with just egg and the cheese and whatnot. And they still charge you what? Is it £2.23?
Yes.
They charge you £2.20 just for the egg and the cheese and the little muffin, man. When you can go to Asda and get all the ingredients and buy all of it for probably like what, £2 in itself, and you got enough to last you the week. And the Asda muffins is a lot bigger, man, than the little ones that they give you in McDonald's. Go ahead.
So shalt thou find the Ava with and good understanding.
And if you keep these things and you do them, you will find favor and you have good understanding, which means what? You would be able to understand the meaning of life. You'd be able to understand the purpose of life. You'd be able to understand these laws. You'd be able to understand that everyone you meet ain't your friend. You'll be able to understand that everyone you meet ain't loyal. You'll be able to understand that everyone you meet ain't got your best interest at heart. You'll be able to understand these things. That'll be one thing you'll be able to understand, man. You'll be able to understand that some people that you think love you, by the actions, they don't love you. Go ahead.
In the sight of God and man.
In the what?
In the sight of God and man.
And you will find favor in the sight of God and man. Meaning God will keep you alive, man, and spare your life and whatnot. You won't go through the curses that so many of us go through. You won't go through the things that so many of us go through when we disobey God. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart.
It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, man, meaning all your mind. Trust in the Lord with everything, your might, your strength. Do as God's instructed you to do. That's what we're supposed to do. Trust in the Lord with all our heart, mind. Go ahead.
And lean not unto thine own understanding.
And lean what?
Not unto thine own understanding.
And lean not unto our own understanding. Because that's what we've been doing, leaning onto our own understanding, to whatever we see thinks right, to whatever we think God says, God approves of. Like there's a lot of people will tell you, oh yeah, God knows my heart, and it's 7 McDonald's main menu don't start till 10:30, and I'm hungry and I need a double sausage in it. God knows my heart. That's what they'll tell you. Don't lean to your own understanding, man. You get your understanding from this Bible, man. The Bible says you can't eat pork. That means in no circumstances can you eat it. That's simple, man. Plain and simple. No, go ahead.
No, and what he's saying is heavy because in the black community right now, all the religions, all the philosophies, that is us leaning on our own understanding.
Exactly.
And it's ridiculous.
Exactly. Whatever we think's right, we lean to it. All the people coming out with all these new religions, all this new way of life, all of this and all of that is crazy, man. Leaning onto our own understanding. Listen, Leonard Howell led to his own understanding, and guess what? Now Rastas, all they do is smoke weed. They have a weed. They have a spliff for breakfast now, a spliff for lunch, a spliff for dinner, man. That's what happens when you lead to your own understanding. Smoking weed. What did they say? It opens up your mind to God. What is it? Something like that.
That's what they say.
Yeah, that's what they say. Because this is what they say. Because when I smoke a spliff, my mind's open and I can concentrate and I can understand the Bible better. That's what leaning to your own understanding is, man. You think about you can concentrate better. Listen, man, that's a lie, man. You can concentrate better. Go ahead. It's like a weed is just a hustle, man. It's a drug, man. And God says no to drugs. And you're gonna tell me opens your mind, and what do you say? Opens portals of your mind, and opens portals of your mind. And when I'm high, I see things better. And when I'm high, I can focus. Listen, man, marijuana is no good for you. It's a drug. And if you smoke it, you're a drug addict.
That's right.
Plain and simple, man. There's no, what's it called? You lean into your own understanding, smoking weed and reading the Bible. Go ahead.
That's it.
Oh, go ahead.
It's funny because what they say weed doesn't do.
Exactly.
Weed makes you sit down and lazy,
Yeah.
and make up something on the spot.
Exactly. It makes you slow. If you've ever spoke to a weed smoker, look at their response time. You ask them a question and they're staring into space. You see them, right? They're staring into space. Their reaction time is slow. Their eyes is red. They can't even concentrate. They can't even focus. They can't even stay awake for 5 minutes, and so forth. Go ahead.
In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy
It
paths.
says in all your ways acknowledge him, man, and he shall direct your paths. What verse you at?
Verse 6.
Yeah, go ahead.
Be not wise in thine own eyes.
And listen, that is being wise in your own eyes. You leaning to your own understanding. You doing whatever you want to do. That's you being wise in your own eyes. Give me John chapter 15 and verse 9. You being wise in your own eyes is you trying to speak for God. That's what people try to do. People try and speak for God and not speak from the Bible. You trying to say, well, God wouldn't mind if I ate this. Show me where God said he wouldn't mind. Like I need to see it in writing, man. How are you going to tell me God don't mind when what I'm reading, God says he does mind? So how can I listen to you when you're telling me something opposite to the word of God, man? It don't make no sense. Go ahead.
John 15 and 9. As the other have loved me, so have I loved you.
And listen, man, Christ is saying, as God have loved you, loved me, so have I loved you. And Christ's love for his disciples was actions. How do you know Christ's love for his disciples was actions? Because what? He taught them, man. He taught them to serve God. He taught them what to do, what not to do. He checked them when they done something wrong. He corrected them. That's what love is, man. Love is correcting people when they do wrong, man. Love is telling them, listen, don't do that. But what today, we've been taught that someone correcting us ain't love. We've been taught that what? They're just talking nonsense. We've been taught, oh, they're just talking nonsense. We've been taught that love is what? Just letting you free roam, do whatever you like, and do whatever makes you feel good, and do whatever's nice and sweet. That's not love, man. Love is actions. Go ahead.
Continue ye in my love.
Christ said, continue in my love, man. And he showed his love with actions. His love wasn't with lip service. His love and loyalty wasn't with lip service. It was with actions, man. It was with things that he done. He took care of them, man. Showed them how to serve God. Showed them how to make it to the kingdom. Showed them what they need to do to be right, man. Cleaned them up. Told them to stop doing what they was doing. Told them to become a new man. He showed them. That's love that is. That's love that is, man. When you make a man change his ways from the old man. That's love. Now, someone that you don't love, you just let them keep being a criminal. You let them just keep being a drug dealer. You let them just keep doing whatever they want. That's when you don't love them. You just let them do whatever they want. But in 2019, this is what love is. According to 2019, this is what love is. Love is what? Getting your son what, an iPad for Christmas. Love is getting your son an iPad for Christmas. Getting a 3-year-old the new iPhone, the one that's, is it coming out this week or next week?
Next week, I believe.
The new iPhone with 3 cameras. Buying that for your son's 10th birthday. That's what this world teaches you that love is, man. This world teaches you that's what love is. Buying your son the new iPad, the new iMac. That's not love, man. You know what love is? Disciplining your kids. Disciplining them. Teaching them about God. Teaching them the right way. That's what love is, because what? You don't want no harm to come to them. That's how you love them. You don't love them by... Now, you can buy them an iPad. But the iPad don't really buy no. If whether you buy them an iPad or don't buy them an iPad, that don't mean you love them any more or any less. Love is an action. Go ahead.
Verse 10. If ye keep my commandments, ye shall abide in my love.
He said, if you keep my commandments. No, what did he say? Did he say if you just tell me you love me?
If ye keep my commandments.
No. If you tell me if you just tell me you're loyal.
If ye keep my commandments.
No. If you tell me you're riding till the end.
If ye keep.
Listen, man. It says
my commandments.
It says if you keep my commandments, you need to keep the commandments. Meaning what? You have to do them. That's what that means, man. You can't just talk with lip service. You can't just talk about your love and your loyalty, but then don't show no love and loyalty. Love and loyalty is actions, man. It's not just the word. We've been taught that it's just the word when it's not a word, man. And this is why the Bible says in 1 John 3:18, love in deed, but not in word, man. Because too many people love in word, and the deeds they do don't show no love. If your woman truly loved you, she wouldn't sleep with the next man. Her doing that shows how much she don't love you, man. Her doing that shows how much she hates you. She tells you she loves you, but her deeds shows how much she hates you. Go ahead.
Ye shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments.
And listen, Christ kept his Father's commandments, man. Christ was hardcore, man. He kept them commandments because he knew what love was. He knew what loyalty was. He was loyal to his Father, man. He was loyal to God. Same like we have to be loyal to God, man.
That's right.
And by how do we be loyal to God? By keeping his commandments, man. That's what true loyalty is, man. Loyalty is actions. And you'll find anywhere on this face of the earth, they ain't loyal to God. In church, they ain't loyal to God. These fake Israelite groups, they ain't loyal to God. Only in here is true loyalty to God, man. Everywhere out, listen, you will see these other fake Israelite groups on the street speaking. You will see them speaking. What they're saying, it sounds nice and good. But what they're saying, do they do it behind closed doors? No, man. Because they ain't got no loyalty to God. Go ahead.
And abide in his love. These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you.
Go ahead.
And that your joy might be full. This is my commandment, that ye love one another.
And this is a commandment, that you love one another. And love is an action. To love one another is an action. Loving one another ain't just saying, oh, I love you and that's it. Loving, go ahead.
What's I'm saying? That's how you know that we apply this Bible in the UPK. Because in those fake camps, they say they love one another till the videos come out
Exactly.
where the man's the pocket, you know, like he's meant to be a brother of yours.
Exactly.
Behind his back, you gotta name him of how you rub the pocket. You rubbing that much. His pocket is yours, like he's the pocket where we get his money. Like,
exactly right.
You don't love each other.
Exactly. They tell you they love you and tell you all of this, but behind closed doors, like the officer said, behind closed doors, you got a name for him, the pocket, which means you're basically saying, you know what, he's got all the money. He's our pocket. You don't want to go in your own pocket. He's the pocket, and so forth. That's not love, man. And then all these other groups, what they got a ton of videos talking about each other, bickering, fighting, crying, all of this nonsense. They don't love each other, man. If they loved one another, if they had loyalty, Joy Morgan would be alive right now, man. But Joy Morgan is what? Dead somewhere, because they've got no honor, loyalty, and love in there, man. Christ said, love one another. And in here, we apply that, meaning what? Our brother needs some food. Guess what? We get him some food. Why? Because we love him, man. Our brother, what? He's stranded. We'll go get him, man. You know why? Because we love him, man.
That's right.
Our brother needs something, and we go help him out. Because what? Because we love him, man. That's why. That's what love is, man. Love is actions. We apply those actions, man. Our brother needs a hand with something. We help him because what? We love him. I mean, there's no point telling someone you love them and you ain't doing nothing that shows you love, man. You ain't doing nothing that shows you love. Go ahead.
This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you.
And Yahushua said, love one another as I have loved you. Now with Yahushua, what? He didn't kill his disciples and hide their body. He didn't kill his disciples and hide their body and whatnot. He loved them, man. You know why he didn't do that? Because he loved them, man. He looked after them, man, took care of them, cleaned them up, showed them how to become a new man, showed them what to do and what not to do, checked them when they was wrong, gave them correction, done whatever, man, gave them true love. And then the love that they learned from him, guess what he said to them? I want you to love your brother also like that. I want you to love your brother also like that. Whereas in church, they've got this thing where everyone in church will say, oh, they love God and love Jesus, but then what? They hate their brother, man. They love God and love Jesus, but they hate their brother. All these other solo Israelites, what do they say? I only what listen to Christ. I only listen to Christ. Listen, man. By you not listening to the men that he's left in charge shows that you wouldn't listen to him if he was here, man. That's what it shows. By showing that you would follow Christ, you would follow the men that is set up who follow Christ, man. But you don't. You think you can skip them and follow Christ. When Christ returns, you're not going to want to follow him either. When Christ returns, you're going to try and have some lame excuse why you don't want to follow him either. Go ahead.
Greater love have no man than this.
It says, greater love have no man than this. Go ahead.
That a man lay down his life for his friends.
That what?
That a man lay down his life for his friends.
That a man lay down his life for his friends, man. Listen, man. You see them friends you're rolling with in the world and you get attacked and they leave you, they're running off and leave you. Listen, man. They ain't willing to lay down their life for you. All the time they'll tell you I'll die for you, but when it's time for them to die for you, guess what happens? They're running off, man, and leaving you to get your head stamped on, your head kicked in. Listen, man, how it works out. Listen, I couldn't even picture me running away and leaving one of the brothers to what, get his head all stamped in, man.
That's right.
And then I run off. How am I meant to face him later on? What am I going to do? I'm meant to come to the hospital and say, you know, I had to run. Like what was, how can I explain to him why I ran off, man? Listen, man, I'd rather what? We both die together, man. That's what I'd rather, man. We both die together, or we both, so lucky if we both have to take a life together. But go ahead. Go ahead.
In the world, it was a friend of mine. That happened to him where, you know, he was out drinking and some guys laid into him and they all ran up and then they had the nerve to bring him after asking if he's all right. They called him like, are you all right? Like, well, see, you should have been there.
Exactly, and that ain't love, man. Because what would love have done? Said, you know what? We're outnumbered. And obviously, he's on the ground getting his head kicked in. I'm going to stay here and help him. I'm going to try and help him. That's what love would do, man. Love would be willing to lay down your life for you, brother. That's what love would do. But you can't find love and loyalty no place on earth except in here, man. And this is why you see the strict measures brothers take at camp, man. Someone will be trying to come up in the camp. And guess what? Every brother wants to get to the attacker first, man. Every brother wants to get to the attacker first, to where the man in the mic has to say, stand down, man, stand down. Every brother's trying to get to him first, man. Because what? We out here to protect our brothers, man. You ain't gonna run up in the camp and think you can do this and do that, and we're meant to run from you. Nah, man, that ain't gonna work. Go ahead.
Ye are my friends if ye do whatsoever I command you.
Hold on, ye are what?
Ye are my friends if ye do whatsoever I command you.
See, that part there is right. That part there is heavy because he said, you know what? You're my friends if you do everything which I command you. Which means what Christ is saying is, you're not his friend if you're not doing everything which he commands you. What he's basically saying is, not everyone's his friend, man. You see all these people you see out there that claim to love him. Right here, he's letting you know that they're not his friends, man. What Christ is saying is, he's showing you what a true friend is, man. He's saying a true friend to him is someone who does what? Keeps his commandments, man. He's saying that's his true friend. He's saying that's his brethren, man. A man who keeps his commandments. A man who don't keep his commandments, basically not his brethren. Read that one more time.
Ye are my friends if ye do whatsoever.
See, it goes, if you do meaning actions, man. Actions, actions, actions. He didn't say you're my friend if you tell everyone you love me, love me. He didn't say you're my friend if you make songs talking about take me to the king. He didn't say you're his friend he didn't say you're his friend if you go every church service. He didn't say you're his friend if you celebrate every Christmas, Easter, Halloween. He said you're his friend if what?
If ye do whatsoever I command you.
He said you're his friend if you do whatever he commands you, man. Which is letting you know what? Christ ain't got too many friends, man. That's letting you know. You look around on this earth, Christ ain't got too many friends. You consider yourself his friend, but he don't consider you his friend. Well, obviously you in the truth, he considers you his friend, but you not in the truth. He don't consider you a friend of his, man. He don't consider you on his side. Because what? You ain't keeping his commandments. You ain't doing what he says. You ain't doing what he requires. So you ain't a friend of his. Go ahead.
Henceforth, I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth.
And he called what? He calls you not his servants. And what's the servant, right? Someone that serves, right? So when you're a servant, basically like that, you could say that's what a trooper. You could say that's when you're a trooper, man. You could say that's when you're a trooper. And then once you pass your officer's test and you keeping God's laws and whatnot, you become a friend, man. Go ahead.
But I have called you friends.
So one stage, these were servants, man. One stage, these were servants that didn't know what Christ was doing and whatnot. And then what happened? They proved themselves, because you can't just call everyone your friend. You have to prove them first. So these were servants, and Christ had to prove them by seeing if they're going to follow whatever he's saying, man. Seeing if they're going to do whatever he's doing, man. And guess what? After that, you prove yourself, and then you become a friend. And big up Magawar and Shamgar, man, because they become friends of Christ, man. They become officers in the school, man. So them two can big up themselves, man, because they've become friends, man, because they followed every order down to the T and everything, man. I know now them brothers is what at camp speaking heavy, man. I check out the tapes, man. I see them, man, bringing it strong, standing strong, and they've done the right thing, man. Go ahead.
For all things that I have heard of my Father, I have made known unto you.
It says, for all things I have heard of my Father, I have made known unto you. And once you become a friend in here, what happens? You get what? Invited to the council, and then you find out whatever, and so forth. Same kind of thing, man. The same structure you see in the Bible is the same structure that we follow in the I.S.U.P.K. That same strict militant order, man. First, you start off as a servant, you have to prove yourself. Then you become an officer. You become more involved and whatnot. Same thing, same things you see in the Bible, we doing here, man. Go ahead.
God, ye have not chosen me.
What verse you?
Verse 16.
Get any more now? Give me a Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 21. So by knowing this Bible, you can discern who's loyalty, man. You know what true loyalty is. Go ahead.
Proverbs 21 and 21. He that followeth after righteousness and mercy findeth life.
He what?
He that followeth after righteousness and mercy findeth life.
He that follows after. Slaki, read it one more time. He that follows after righteousness and mercy finds life, man. Meaning what? You find life. What's life? You living good, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. You not dying some horrible death. You not living how the majority of people's living. Go ahead.
Findeth life, righteousness, and honor.
Righteousness and what?
And honor.
Righteousness and honor, man. What's honor? Honor is respect, man. And how do you get that honor? From your loyalty, man. Now, if you're truly loyal, people will honor you and be like, you see him? He's loyal, man. I can trust him with my life. I can trust him. Listen, this is how you want to know if someone's loyal or not. You just think, can you leave your wage around them? Just think, can you leave your wages around them? Chances are you probably can't. Because they ain't loyal to you, man. You're going to come back. And some of it's going to be missing. And they're going to give you an excuse and whatnot. Go ahead. Anyone that? Read that. Hold on, let's see if that. It's lucky. Let me see if that was the right one. I don't think that was the. Let me see if that was the right one. No, I don't think that was the one, but give me Proverbs 17 and 17.
Proverbs 17 and 17. A friend loveth at all times.
A what?
A friend loveth at all times.
A friend loveth at all times, man. A true friend will love you at all times, man. A true friend ain't gonna what? Something you told him in confidence, air out your dirty laundry on Facebook. He ain't gonna put air out your dirty laundry on Facebook. He ain't gonna do certain things that you see people do in the world, especially how women do it. They'll be friends for so long, and then guess what happens? Once they fall out, once they fall out, you'll find out that this woman cheated on her man with 50 different other men. At the time, these two were friends. They kept it quiet, and then once they fall out, guess what happens? Your phone will ring, like ring. You'll be like, "Yo, who's this?" Guess what? She's gonna say, "Oh, it's such and such." Me and what's it called ain't friends no more, so I can tell you, she dealt with this man behind your back. She dealt with that man behind your back. Listen, man, and that's how it goes in the world, man. They air out your dirty laundry and whatnot. Whereas even in this truth, there shouldn't be no dirty laundry like that anyway. But go ahead.
And a brother is born for adversity.
And a brother is born for adversity, meaning what? Our brother's whole purpose is what? To be there for you, man. When you're going through hard times and adversity, a brother's purpose is what? To be there for you, man. A brother's born for that purpose, to be there for you, to help you out, to keep you going, to check upon you, to see how you're going and whatnot, man. To just help you out, man. Make sure you're doing all right. See how you're getting on and whatnot. Made for that purpose, man. That's what a brother is, man. Give me a Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 7.
Proverbs 16 and 7. When a man's ways please the Lord.
When a man's ways please the Lord. You already know how you please God. How do you please God? By doing what He says.
That's right. Keeping
His laws, statutes, and commandments. Same way, your kids please you by what? Obeying your voice. You please God by obeying His voice. Go ahead.
He maketh even His enemies to be at peace with Him.
And when you obey God, He makes even your enemies be at peace with you, man. Meaning what? You see those people there that hate you, they can't do you no harm, man. Because you please God, and even they're at peace with you. They can't trouble you. They can't do you nothing, man. I'm going to show you a man who obeyed God, man. Give me a Numbers chapter 12 and verse 1. I'm going to show you a man who obeyed God. And this is why you need to be careful how you speak about a man that obeys God, man. Before you fix your mouth to talk bad about the prophets of God, you better be careful, man. Because God don't take that lightly. You running your mouth about the prophets of God. There's instances in the Bible, man, where kids called, Elisha, what's they called him? A bald head. Was calling him a bald head. After my man was obviously, already my man's in a bad mood because what? Elijah's just been taken up and he's in a bad mood as it is. And these kids is mocking him, man. And what? 42 bears came, man. Ate up all of them. You need to be careful how you talk about the prophets of God, man. Because the Lord don't take it lightly. And if people in the Bible don't understand that, man, don't mock the prophets of God. Go ahead.
Numbers 12 and 1. And Eliam and Aaron spake against Moses.
Meaning what? They was talking bad about Moses, man. They spoke against him. So Moses is a man of God. Moses is a faithful man of God, man, doing what God requires. And these are speaking bad about him. Same like many I.S.U.P.K doing what God requires, and people speak bad about us. Go ahead.
Because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married.
So Moses married an Ethiopian woman, and they were speaking against him. But Moses had that woman before he was in the truth, man. He had that woman before he was in the truth. But these fake Israelites will use this right here to say what? You can marry heathens and say Moses did it. This is what they say. They say Moses did it. That's what they will say, man. Listen, man, Moses had heard before the truth, man. And then once he came into the truth, what? He had no more heathen women, man. Go ahead. And then he instructed in Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter, instructions which came down from the Lord not to marry heathen women, man.
That's right.
So how are you going to use this to say, well, Moses did it? And then in Deuteronomy 7, the Lord said, you can't have heathen women, man. How's that make sense, man? Really, you're just full of lust. You're full of what? How do you say lasciviousness? How do you say
lasciviousness?
You're full of lasciviousness and every other kind of lust. And every other word the Bible says in the scripture that I'm referring to.
Concupiscence.
Yeah, and concupiscence, or however you pronounce it. You're full of lust, lasciviousness, concupiscence, or however you pronounce it. You're full of all of that, man. If that's what, if you read the book of Numbers and that's what comes to your mind, go ahead.
For he had married an Ethiopian woman, and they said, have the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses?
I'm saying, has the Lord only spoke to Moses? They're speaking against Moses. Go ahead.
Have he not spoken also by us?
And they said, have you not spoken also by us? That ain't he spoken to us too? Is he only dealing with Moses and so forth? Go ahead. They're saying, Moses. They're saying, basically what they're saying is, why is Moses thinking he's all that and he married an Ethiopian woman? That's what they're basically saying, man. Moses ain't all the way righteous. That's what they're basically saying. Go ahead.
And the Lord heard it.
And what?
And the Lord heard it.
And be careful how you talk about God's prophets, man. Because the Lord will hear it, man. All them things you say, the Lord will hear it. All them times you people say and use a lot of bums, get a job, the Lord will hear it, man. Listen, the Lord will hear it, and guess what? He might take away your job, man. How about that? He might take away your job. And guess what? You're going to come to us and we're going to feed you with the food drive, man. Because we that brotherly, man. We're going to feed you with the food drive, man. That's how brotherly we are, man. Even though you're out there mocking us. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Now the man Moses was very meek above all the men which dwelt upon the face of the earth.
Moses was like a calm brother. Moses was humble. Moses was meek. Moses was merciful. And you know how you know Moses was merciful and meek and humble and not proud? Because when the Lord said to Moses, you know what? How about I destroy all of them? And I only raise up your lineage, so everybody will be what? A child of Moses. What did Moses say? Moses said no. Moses said no, man. Moses was that meek. Now, if somebody else was in that position, you put one of these fake Israelites in that position, guess what would happen? Everybody would be what? Sons of Nathaniel 7. Everybody would be what? Sons of Tahar, and so forth. Because that's what they would do, because they're not meek and they're not humble. But Moses was meek and humble, man. And Moses said, La'ah. Moses said, La'ah, Lord, spare them. Because the people are going to mock and say, oh, you brought them into the wilderness to destroy them. And guess what? The Lord changed his mind, man. The Lord said, all right, then no sweat. And this is why we're here today. This is why what? The tribe of Benjamin's here today. The tribe of Judah, Issachar, Levi. This is why all the tribes is here today, man. If Moses wasn't meek and humble, and this is why in the I.S.U.P.K, we teach to be meek and humble, man. We teach to be meek, humble, and brotherly, man. You know, because we learn from these scriptures. And Moses was meek, humble, and brotherly.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Verse 4. And the Lord spake oddly unto Moses, and unto Aaron, and unto Miriam, come out ye three unto the tabernacle of the congregation.
And listen, man, they're speaking bad about Moses, and the Lord ain't having it, man, because his servant is meek, is humble, and the Lord spoke suddenly, man, meaning what? The Lord didn't have no time to listen to the rest of what they were saying, man. He came suddenly and said, yo, you three come outside, go ahead.
And they three came out, and the Lord came down in the pillar of the cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth.
So they came down in the pillar of the cloud, which is like what? Smoke. Came down in like smoke and whatnot. Go ahead.
And he said, hear now my words.
And listen, he ain't playing no games. So listen, hear my words. Like he came down, man. Said, hear my words, because he ain't playing no games, because God ain't something to be played with. And that's why when you read in Exodus, the 20th chapter, when the Lord was giving them the commandments, there was what? Rumblings and thunder. There was rumblings and thunders and loud noises, and the people were scared and burnings and everything. Like the Lord didn't give them the commandments how you watch it in cartoons, like look so soft and whatnot. When the Lord gave them the commandments, there was all this trembling, these thunderings, which is letting you know, listen, you better keep these commandments, because I ain't playing no games, man. And that's the reason behind all the thunderings and all the fire and the pillar of smoke and everything, man. The Lord came down like a boss to deliver those commandments. Go ahead.
If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and I will speak to him in a dream.
And the Lord said, if there's a prophet amongst you, I make myself known in a vision, man. Because they're saying, yo, is the Lord only speaking to Moses? Or the Lord saying, yo, if I was speaking to someone else, I'll speak to them in a vision or a dream. Go ahead.
My servant Moses is not so.
My what?
My servant Moses is not so.
The Lord said, my servant Moses is not so, man. Go ahead.
Who is faithful?
Who is what?
Who is faithful?
Listen, the Lord right there is saying Moses is loyal, man. That's what the Lord's saying. Moses is faithful. And the last verse said what? That even as your enemies will be at peace with you, man. Listen, Moses' own brother and sister was speaking against him, and the Lord came down, man. The Lord came down, man, and said, you know what? I'm not having that, man. The Lord said, yo, I speak to prophets in what? Visions and dreams. But Moses, he speaks to him face to face, right? Is that the, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, the Lord said he speaks to him face to face, man. Clear? Because Moses was what? Faithful. Moses was loyal. Moses was meek. Moses done everything that God required of him, man. You go ahead.
In all mine house.
Moses is what? Faithful in all my house, man. Moses is loyal, man. You can the word faithful, you can also substitute it for loyal and whatnot. Moses had loyalty to God, and this is why God came down, man. Listen, Moses ain't like your uncle that's an alcoholic on the couch that everyone speaks bad about. Obviously, the Lord ain't gonna come down for him and say don't speak bad about him. Obviously, he's alcoholic, smoking weed and taking drugs. Obviously, he ain't faithful in the Lord's house. he ain't he ain't meek and whatnot. So there's a difference, man. Moses was a faithful meek man, whereas obviously you trying to relate this to any random man that wants to smoke drugs. This doesn't relate to him. This doesn't relate to a man that wants to smoke weed all day. This doesn't relate to a man that wants to be an alcoholic and sit on the park bench and drink alcohol all day. This don't relate to him, man. This relates to a faithful man that was meek and faithful man and loyal. That's who this relates to. So the Lord came down to what? Defend him, man. Now, if you're being unrighteous, smoking weed, the Lord ain't going to come down and defend you, man. If you're being a thief and a criminal, the Lord ain't going to come down and defend you, man. You know why? Because you ain't being faithful to the Lord and you ain't got no loyalties to the Lord. So if you ain't got no loyalties to the Lord, why would the Lord protect you? I mean, why would he? It's just common sense. You're doing the crimes and, you're doing the crimes and now you want the Lord to help you after you commit every crime. No, it don't work like that, man. You need to be faithful and meek and have loyalty, man. Have loyalty to God, which is keeping his commandments. And then God will protect you, man. But obviously, if you ain't doing that, you can't expect God to protect you. Go ahead.
That's right. With him will I speak mouth to mouth.
The Lord said, with him will I speak mouth to mouth, man. The Lord said, I'll come down and speak to him, man. Go ahead.
Even apparently, and not in dark speeches.
And he said, I'm not going to speak to him in dark speeches. What's the dark speech? Something that you don't understand clearly. He said, I don't speak to Moses in dark speeches, man. Go ahead.
That's like in the book of Daniel with the beast. That's the dark
Yeah, exactly. Like things that you don't understand, things where you read it and you're like, what does this actually mean? What's the truth? What's the meaning of this? He said he ain't going to speak to Moses like that, man. He was going to speak to Moses mouth to mouth like this. If they don't obey me, they're going on slave ships. That's straightforward, man. That's speaking mouth to mouth, man. There's no, what does this mean? There's no parable about it. There's no parable about it. There's no dark speech. That is, if you don't obey my voice, you're going into slavery. Now, a dark speech is what? In the book of Revelations, what? The dragon, the 7 heads, so forth. That right there, not everyone will understand. What everyone can understand, if you don't obey my voice, you're going to be a slave. You don't obey my voice, you're going into slavery. These people ain't going to enter over the other side of Jordan. That's speaking mouth to mouth. That's straight up speaking, no dark speeches. That's how the Lord spoke with Moses. Listen, the Lord didn't speak with Moses in dark speeches, which means what? The law's straightforward, right?
That's right.
And Christians still can't understand it, man. Which means they've been blinded, man. Their mind has been closed. What's it say in the Bible? Their mind has been what?
The mind has been shut because of the God of this world.
Yeah, exactly. Their mind's been shut because of the God of this world, man. They can't even understand things when the Lord was speaking to Moses mouth to mouth, and he's basically saying it how it is, man. That's what this is basically saying. He will speak to Moses and say it how it is, and they can't understand that. So if they can't understand the law, how are you on the internet Googling a Christian pastor's breakdown of the book of Revelations? He can't understand the stuff the Lord said to Moses mouth to mouth. How is he meant to understand Christ's parables and the dark speeches, man? How is he supposed to understand those things? He's not, man. And this is why everybody else outside of here believes what? The red dragon is literal. They believe it's a literal dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, and he's going to be flying in the air, and he's going to be breathing down fire. And they believe that there's going to be a beast that comes out of the sea, and the beast is going to have a stab mark in his head. That's what they actually believe. They actually believe that. And then you hear, I heard some pastor saying the leopard in the book of Daniel is talking about Obama. You're saying the leopard in the book of Daniel is talking about President Obama and whatnot and so forth. And you know why? Because they don't even understand the things the Lord said to Moses mouth to mouth. So how do you expect them to understand the dark speeches? How do you expect to sit in church and get the understanding of this Bible? How do you expect your pastor to have loyalty and honor and dignity? He don't know anything about loyalty or honor or dignity because he don't even understand the things the Lord said mouth to mouth. The Bible says don't eat pork. He don't even understand that. So you going to him for a breakdown of the book of Daniel and Revelations, Lord, be with you because he's going to give you the wrong one. Go ahead.
And the similitude of the Lord shall he behold, whereof.
Similitude is something like what? A shape and whatnot in it.
Right.
Similitude is like what? A shape or form. It says, shall he behold? So the behold means to see. So he was going to see a shape and whatnot. Go ahead.
Wherefore then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?
It says, you wasn't afraid to speak against my servants Moses. And at camp, people ain't afraid to speak about God's servants today, man. Same way people wanted to talk about God's servants back in the days. They talk about them now. People make out like what? Oh, everybody loved Moses and whatnot. No, everybody didn't love Moses, man. People were saying, yo, who made you Lord and governor over us? That's what people were saying, man. People were saying to Moses, yo, we shouldn't follow you. We can follow the Lord ourselves without you. Guess what happened? The ground opened up and swallowed them up, man. They thought they could do it that way. The Lord showed who he was with on that day. Who was it? Korah and his men. Korah and his men. The Lord opened up the ground and showed them that he wasn't with them, man. Everybody saying, no, I don't need to be there to serve the Lord. I can do it my way. There was men in Moses' time that leaned to their own understanding. And guess what happened? The earth swallowed them up, man. Which you could say was like what? Quicksand.
That's
Which was
right.
like quicksand, man. Quicksand. Go ahead.
And the anger of the Lord was kindled against them.
And listen, they got the Lord mad, man, by talking about his meek servant that was on the face of the earth at the time, man. Go ahead.
And he departed, and the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow.
And listen, man, Miriam became leprous, man, white as snow. She got a punishment, man, speaking bad about a prophet. She became leprous, white as snow, for speaking bad about one of God's prophets. Go ahead.
And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous.
And he looked upon her, man, and she was leprous, man. He looked upon her, and she looked like who? Britney Spears. Who else is there? Is it Christina Aguilera? She might go.
Yes,
She looked like Christina Aguilera. Give me some more. Who else is there?
Miley Cyrus.
She looked like Miley Cyrus. Who else is there?
Celine.
She looked like Celine Dion. There's a ton of them. She looked like those people, man. Go ahead.
And verse 11, and Aaron said unto Moses, alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us.
And what does beseech mean? It means beg. He said, I beg you, man, lay not this sin upon us, man. This transgression. What they done was what transgressed against Moses, and the Lord made a leprous, man. Because what they done, speaking bad about him and whatnot. Go ahead. Now, obviously, you would think that, like, obviously, there's a thing as what a clean leper. So, someone that you see who's leprous today, it doesn't mean they're a sinner. Obviously, some people just have what the condition of what vitiligo. Some people just have the condition of vitiligo. So, obviously, don't see a black person today with vitiligo and think what it's sin to be around them and they're a sinner and this and that. It don't always mean that. Go ahead.
Wherein we have done foolishly.
So the sin was what? Them transgressing against Moses. It says, don't lay the sin upon us where we have done foolishly. And what they done foolishly was spoke about one of God's prophets, one of God's meekest man on the face of the earth. Go ahead.
And wherein we have sinned, let her be not as one dead.
And he said, let her be not as one dead man. They looked at her and said, yo, let her not be as one dead. Because when you die, what happens? You go what? Pale. When you die, you go pale. They said, let her not be as one dead. But that's it. And that give me Mark chapter 12 and verse 29.
Mark chapter 12 and verse 29. And Yahushua answered him, the first of all the commandments is, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind, and with all thy strength.
And in there, it doesn't say with lip service. It says with all your heart, your soul, your mind, your strength, man, with everything. It doesn't say with lip service. It doesn't say just say you love him. Go ahead, you can say something.
No.
Oh, yeah, you can.
With all thy mind and with all thy strength. This is the first commandment.
That's the first commandment, man. You love God with all your heart, your mind, your soul, your strength. With everything, man, meaning what? You carry out his actions. These laws is on your mind. These laws is everywhere you go. Go ahead.
And that's heavy because in the church, they're not using no strength.
Exactly.
They want there's no use of the will.
Exactly.
They're not using your mind. You're not using no strength.
Exactly.
You do what you want, like.
There's no restraint. They forget that they can't eat pork. They'll eat pork, say, oh, forgot I couldn't eat it. They're not using their mind. They're not using no strength. They got no restraint. They don't even listen. They don't even try and fight. They don't even try and fight, man. They just, someone says, you know what? Yeah, we're at Christmas party. Guess what happens? They just go. They just go to it and so forth. Go ahead.
Verse 31. And the second is like, namely this: thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
And you love your neighbor as yourself. Well, you should love yourself. Nowadays, there's people that don't love themselves for some reason. Listen, there's a man I see him in town every day. He's self-harm. You should see him self-harming. Like, he's picked off, I think his lip is picked off all of this part. So it's like you can see his teeth through there. It's horrible. Next time I see him, I need to take a picture and show you. It's disgusting. It's hard. I need to show. He's an Edomite anyway. Who cares? But I just need to show you that it's just horrible. You pick and then there's people, and this is how you know they love their own people, because what? There's some random people that come with bandages and bandage him up. Listen, I'm yet to see anyone. Listen, a black man gets shot and people barely help him, man.
Right.
People barely help him, man. This guy self-harm, and what do they do? They bandage him up, get him coffees and do whatnot. I'm yet to see us do that for one another, but go ahead.
Namely this: thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. There is none other commandment greater than these.
Now, this is where people close the book, because it says, love God and love your neighbor. There's no commandments greater than these. So someone will say, well, I love God, but I'm eating pork because there's no commandments greater than these two, so I'm allowed to eat pork. Someone will say, I love God, but I'm going to rob that man. I love my brother, but I'm going to rob that man. The Bible says there's no commandments greater than these. What you got to realize is the whole law is what? In it, you see when it says love God, in love God is what? You not going to the mosque, you not being a Muslim, you not celebrating birthdays, Easter, Christmas. That's loving God. And loving your brother is what? You not robbing him, you not stealing his wife, you not stealing his money, you not stealing his wallet. All the laws in the Bible is based on loving God. Like, if you love God, you would keep all the laws pertaining to God. If you love your brother, you would keep all the laws pertaining to your brother.
That's right.
That's what it's talking about when it says love your brother as yourself. And I believe there's a precept on it. Is it Romans 12 or somewhere?
Yeah, Romans 13.
Yeah, Romans 13. Is it 11 or somewhere?
Yeah, something like that.
No, Romans 13 and 11 is high time to awake out of sleep.
It's about 13 and 8.
I think it was, from what I remember, I think it was about 12. I'm not remember. Let me see if it is. I think it was about
Romans 13 and 9.
Yeah.
But verse 8. Romans 13 and 8. Oh, no man anything but to love one another.
But to love one another, man. Now it's going to tell you how to love one another, because the one in the book of Mark was basically saying what we're reading right now, but people read that in Mark and close the book because they don't understand it. So the Bible says precept upon precept. So I'm going to show you the precept for that. If someone tries to take you there, you just add this scripture to it. Just add this one to it. Go ahead.
For he that loveth another have fulfilled the law.
It says, for he that loveth another have fulfilled the law. So now we're going to show you how you fulfilled the law. Go ahead.
For this, thou shalt not commit adultery.
So now this is how you love your brother. You should what?
Not commit adultery.
You love your brother by not having sex with his wife. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not kill.
You love your brother by what? Not running him down in South London and shooting him, man.
That's right.
Not running around with a Rambo knife and stabbing him, man. That's how you love your brother, which takes actions. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not steal.
How do you love your brother? By not robbing his money, by not robbing his jewelry, by not robbing his car, by not robbing anything off him. That's how you love your brother. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not bear false witness.
Thou shalt not bear false witness. And false witness ain't you calling someone a slave. False witness is what? You taking the stand. And basically, you see when someone goes to court and there's a witness. That's false witness, man. You going in front of someone of power and saying, this person done this, I saw him do it, when clearly you didn't see him do it. That's what bearing false witness is. False witness ain't me saying, oh, that brother there's a homosexual. That's not false witness. That's me calling you a slur. That's me dissing you. People get the two mixed up. False witness is me what? Claiming to witness something that I haven't seen. That's false witness. Taking the stand, like in court when you take what? The witness stand. That's what that's talking about. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not covet.
Thou shalt not covet, meaning what? You shouldn't want what your brother's got, man. You shouldn't want his life and want everything that he's got, man. Because what will happen? It will turn into you wanting to kill him to take his position and whatnot.
That's right.
you coveting just turns into other stuff. And then first, before people steal, obviously they covet first because they want it, then they rob you, then what, so forth. Probably armed robbery, probably end up killing you in the process. All these transgressions, you in your mind, you think you're doing one, but after a while, you turns into you doing a ton of them, not even knowing. Go ahead.
And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor.
It is what?
It is briefly comprehended.
It is briefly comprehended in this saying. So what Christ said in Mark, the 12th chapter and the 29th verse was briefly comprehended in that saying. Go ahead.
Thou shalt love thy neighbor.
So when Christ said love your neighbor, all these laws was briefly comprehended in that saying. That's what that's talking about in the book of Mark, man. Go ahead.
As thyself.
As thyself. That's what that's talking about right there. So don't let people pull Mark, the 12th chapter, on you and say there's only 2 commandments. Is that to say there's only 2 commandments?
Yeah.
There's only 2 commandments. There's only 2 commandments. There's only 2 commandments. Give me
And also, if that, even in Mark, when it talks about to love the neighbor, he's saying it. It says in the 31st verse, and the second is like this. So the second is like, namely this, meaning he's just generalizing.
Exactly, generalizing the whole thing. Give me a Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 9.
Deuteronomy 7 and 9. Know therefore that the Lord thy God, he is God, the
faithful God, the loyal God, man. Go ahead.
Which keepeth covenants.
And listen, man, God's faithful and loyal and keeps his covenant. Go ahead.
And mercy with them that love him.
With them that love him, with those that love him and are loyal to him. Go ahead.
And keep his commandments.
And keep his commandments. God is loyal and faithful to those who keep his commandments, man. God will protect those who keep his commandments. That's it, and that for time's sake. Give me 1 Kings chapter 8 and verse 23.
First Kings 8 and 23. And he said, Lord God of Israel, there is no God like thee.
It says, Lord God of Israel, man, there is no God like you, man. There's no power like you. Go ahead.
In heaven above, or on earth beneath.
In heaven above, or on earth beneath. None of these idols that you like to worship, none of this cross you put around your neck, none of this Allah, none of this fish God, none of this next nonsense. Go ahead.
Who keeps covenants.
Who keeps his covenant? Go ahead.
And mercy with thy servants that walk before thee with all their hearts.
Go ahead. Next verse is there.
Verse 24. Who has kept with thy servant David, my father, that thou promisest him, thou spakest also with thy mouth, and has fulfilled it.
And have what?
And has fulfilled it.
So even, listen, God didn't even do lip service. God spoke and fulfilled it, man.
That's right.
God carried out what he said he was going to do. And we need to be like that, man. If we say we're going to do something, we do it. You say you love your brother, really do. Please really do love him. Don't tell him you love him and, you hate him. You treat him like nonsense. You hate him. You want him dead. You wish horrible on him. You want to rob him. You want to steal from him. Listen, God was faithful, man. God promised something and he fulfilled it, man. Which means what? God was loyal with what he said and his actions matched what he said, man. Listen, in the Quran, Allah says a lot of things and he ain't proved nothing yet, man. Allah tells you a lot of things and he ain't fulfilled not one thing, man. Go ahead.
Let's say Muhammad cut the moon in
He
half.
split the moon in half. Yeah,
Says who?
exactly. Muhammad split the moon. They asked to see a miracle and what he split the moon in half. Muhammad split the moon in half. Listen, man. Back then, they probably didn't even have telescopes like we have today. And even today, we can barely see things clearly. Muhammad split the moon in half. This is what they'll say. You look on the moon and there's a what? What do they say there's on there? There's a mark on there. There's a mark on there. That's what they'll tell you. They'll tell you there's a mark on the moon where it's split it in half. Let me get the last two scriptures. Give me Exodus 23 real quick.
Exodus 20:3. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
So if you're serving another God, already you're disloyal, man. If you're serving Allah, you're disloyal, man. If you're in the church, you're disloyal, man. You can't have no other gods, man. You trying to serve all this other nonsense, that makes you disloyal to the God of the Bible, man. There's no point you even reading this if you're going to be told if you're serving other gods. You're disloyal. If you could give me 1 Corinthians 10:21, then after I'll close out with that one.
1 Corinthians 10:21. Ye cannot drink of the cup of the Lord and the cup of the devils.
Now listen, man. What the Lord's saying right here is what? You ain't going to play defense, man. You need to pick a side. He's saying you need to pick a side. Either you're rolling with me or you're not rolling with me, man. What the Lord's basically saying is, yo, you can't be down with me and be down with them at the same time.
That's right.
You need to pick a side. Same like we say today, same like we say this. You can't be, same like you would say to one of your friends, how can you be my friends and friends with my enemy? You need to pick a side. The Lord's saying that, man. How can you be trying to play defense and be on both sides? The Lord wants to know where your loyalty lies, man. The Lord wants to know if your loyalty lies with him or your loyalty lies with Allah and everybody else and every other idol and every other nation. The Lord wants to know where your loyalty lies, man. The Lord ain't allowing you to play defense. The Lord ain't saying, yeah, you can be in the middle. You have to pick a side. Go ahead.
Ye cannot be partakers of the Lord's able.
The Lord's saying, listen, you can't say you're down with me. You can't say you roll with me. You can't say you're tight with me. Go ahead.
And the able of devils.
He said, look, man, you can't say all of those things that you're rolling with me and you're tight with me, but you want to also be rolling with them. You also want to be doing Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, and every other pagan holiday. The Lord's saying, yo, you can't be trying to say you're rolling with me, but then you're doing all of those things, doing all of that nonsense. The Lord would rather you pick a side. And guess what? If you can't pick a side, the Lord's saying you just stay over there.
That's right.
If you can't pick a side, you just stay over there. Listen, if you're indecisive, the Lord's already chose for you. You just stay over there. The Lord don't want you to be indecisive, man. The Lord wants to know that you're a ride or die and you're rolling with him, man. He wants to know that you're rolling with him and you're down, man. That's what the Lord wants to know. And with that brings us to the end of the class. Also, log in tomorrow. Officer Parash will be doing the scripture breakdown class tomorrow. So log into that, and with that, we are out.
All right, that was a powerful class. Let's give Officer Dunbar a hand. Right, the announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K. Started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General YAHANNA, ruled for a new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the heads to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After the 6 months, the brother and sister will get permission from the heads to marry, tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8-10 means 10% of any increase you receive from the Lord. Give to the Treasury Department priest fund, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocations,
September 28th.
September the 28th, which is the Feast of Trumpets. All Akim and Aqua, check the bulletin board in the hallway and check all I.S.U.P.K social media, so Facebooks, Instagrams, YouTubes. If anyone wants to become a in the school to start wearing all black boots, shirts, pants, headbands, and scarves, and with that, we're going to rise and face the east, and we're going to send up the Lord's Prayer. All right, we got the Lord's Prayer. Abba Nawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kadash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malachwaka, Taba'ah, Ratzayaka, Hayah, I.S.U.P.K, Ba'aratza, Kawor, Hayah, Ba'Shemayim, Nathunlanawa, Lakam, Kal, Yawam, Wasalaknawa, Kabawafnawa, Kasalaknawa, Kabawafinawa, Wala'ah, Ayanawa, Banasayawan, Abod, Hawashainawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wahafakara, La'aiwalamya, Aman.
Our Father,
which
art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come,
Thy kingdom
thy
come.
will be done,
In earth,
as it is in heaven.
Give
Give us this day
our
daily bread,
bread,
and forgive us our debts,
our debts,
as we forgive our debtors,
debtors,
and lead us not
into
into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever.
So be. The next prayer, the Hakka, the power, Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahawashi, Babakusha, Nathunlanawa, Hakka, Larapa'ah, Kalmakala, Kalmadawa, Hakka, Lataha, Hamatazaraya, Hakka, Lahafia, Hamafia, Hakka, Arakawa, Hatama'ala, the Garvishan, Ba'Shem Yahawashi, the water, Aman.
In English, Yahweh, in the name of Yahawashi, please give us the power, the power to heal, all manner of sickness, all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out, in the name of Yahawashi. Thank you.
So be. Next prayer is the blessings. Barakatha Yahweh, Wa Yahawashi, Wa Mayaka'ala, Wa Alahaya, Tazabi'ah, Alawap Yahanna, Ha Alawapya, Ha Sarunya, Ha Kwatazayanya, Ha Kalia Aliyah, Wa Akwapya, Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahawashi, the water, Aman.
In the English, bless you, Yahweh, and Yahawashi, and Michael, and the angels, commanding General Yahanna, the generals, captains, officers, troopers, and the sisters, Yahweh, in the name of Yahawashi. Thank you.
So be.
Blessed are you, Yahweh.
Blessed are you, Yahweh,
King of heaven and earth,
and
all things living,
Yahweh,
in the name of Yahawashi. Listen to us now, right now. Send evils, and curses, and punishment, and destruction, to the heathen, that speak against us, by prophets, the priests, the teachers, the princes, the priests, the Israelite brothers, and the schools, send evils, and curses, and punishments, and destruction, to the heathen, and shake loose, the treasure of the rich of Israel, that refuse to give to the schools, force their riches, to enter into thy sanctuary, send evils, and curses, and punishment, and destruction
and destruction
to the Edomites
to the Edomites
and the nations
and the nations
as their drug dealers,
and their drug dealers,
court
the
system,
court system,
prison
the
system,
prison system,
Planned Parenthood,
Planned Parenthood,
all the governments of our enemies,
all the governments of our enemies,
Amalek synagogues and armies,
Amalek synagogues and armies,
Roman Catholic Church,
Roman Catholic Church,
the Pope,
the Pope,
Islam,
Islam,
Christianity,
Christianity,
Egyptology,
Egyptology,
militia,
militia,
Ku Klux Klan,
Ku Klux Klan,
Aryan Nation,
Aryan Nation,
skinheads,
skinheads,
Pasco
Pasco-Matazi,
gay
the
movement,
gay movement,
lesbian
the
movement,
lesbian movement,
spies,
spies,
workers of witchcraft,
workers of witchcraft,
NASA space program,
NASA space programs,
army,
army,
navy,
navy,
air force,
Air Force,
Marines, Wall Street,
Wall Street,
open up the internet
open up the internet
and the airways,
and the airways,
cable access
the
channels,
cable access channel,
and the radio
and
channels.
the radio channels.
Convict the spirit
Convict the spirit
of any of thy
of
people
any of thy people
that seek to stop us
that seek to stop
and
us
bring swift destruction
and bring swift destruction
to all the heathen
to all the
that
heathens
stand in the way
that stand in the way
or try to stop us
or try to stop
from
us
broadcasting your words
from broadcasting your words
throughout the planet Earth.
throughout the planet Earth.
Let loose
Let
all the
loose
plagues,
all the
cause them
plagues,
to go
cause them to
to
go
and fro
to and fro
through the earth
through the earth
and consume them.
and consume them.
Let the plagues
Let the plagues
shake
shake
the house of the thief
the house of the thief
and the murderer.
and the murderer.
Let Yahushua,
Let Yahushua,
Michael,
Michael,
Gabriel
and Gabriel
come down
come
with
down
the flying saucers
with the flying
and
saucers
punish all the heathens
and punish all the
that
heathens
come up against us
that come up against us
as we speak thy word.
as we speak thy word.
Cause it to be known
Cause it to be known
by all
by all
that is the angels
that is the angels
that have done it.
that have done it.
Cause it to be spread
Cause it to be spread
through the media
through the media
throughout the whole world.
throughout the whole world.
Cause them to shake
Cause them to shake
at thy coming
at thy coming.
in the name of Yahushua.
In the name of Yahushua,
Thank you.
thank you.
Always.
Always
So
so
good.
be. Last prayer is to bless Israel. Yahweh,
Yahweh.
Ba'ashem Yahushua,
Hashem Yahushua.
Barak Hanawa,
Barakna.
Wayashra'ala,
Yasha'ala.
Wahabaya,
Habaya.
Sapaya,
Pariam.
Barak Rapah,
Barak.
Magun Hagun,
Hagan. Hagan.
the Gordon family,
Gordon family.
the Garden
Gordon
family,
family.
the George family.
George family.
That's it.
All Israel.
All of Israel, Ba'ashem,
Hashem.
Yahushua,
Yahushua.
Sawada, Aman.
Amen.
And what we just said was, Lord, in the name of Yahushua, bless us and Israel and the school. Bless, heal, shield, protect those other ones. In the name of Yahushua, thank you. So be. So with that, we're going to give the teacher one courtesy salute. Men of Israel, I Madim Shabbat, I Madim Barak, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua Barakatah,
Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakafam.
and Yad Yam Matah. Class dismissed. How's everything going?
Not too bad, you know, to work. I'm just trying to. Saturday, I'm trying to swap my shift for a later one, yeah. You know, you're the first person in the morning,
Yeah.
which means if I don't go in, they're not gonna